promises is what they hear. No running water from year to year. Hearts that no one desire.
And a very special good morning to all of you again. Welcome back. So let's kick off our program. Multiple murders, shootings, woundings and robberies. A recent discovery of 23 illegal cameras mounted on T&TEC poles and a kidnapping only last Saturday. All incidents occurring over a period of time in Tunapuna. We do have on the line this morning President of the Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Ramon Gregorio. Mr. Gregorio, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Marlon. Good morning to your viewers.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Gregorio, I think that the only question I can ask this morning, what is going on in Tunapuna?
Well, what's good for the rest of the country, Marlon, and what we are seeing here, Tunapuna is just a microcosm of what is happening in larger society. What I would say is that, yes, it has been a cause for concern. Obviously, it's been widely reported in the media. There are no hidden treasures in Tunapuna. What I would say is that we are dealing with the matters as aggressively and as intelligently as we can. Obviously, the kidnapping on Saturday morning of the Source Devils proprietor, Ms. Osai, very unfortunate incident, very stark incident to wake up to on a Saturday morning. I think it has gripped the nation. So it's not just a Tunapuna issue, it's a wider society issue that we've seen playing out in Tunapuna. Obviously, in Tunapuna, we have the luxury of a very strong Tunapuna Station Council, with which we are working to solve some of the issues and look at some of the issues as it relates to crime. Obviously, we would have launched the Eagle Eye initiative just a few months ago. And the Security Council, the Station Council, they have been instrumental in rolling out the Eagle Eye. Of course, just for your viewers, the Eagle Eye is a camera detection and surveillance mechanism that we launched in Tunapuna to look at crimes of opportunity, to sort of nip them in the bud, give police those extra eyes and those extra legs to be able to catch perpetrators. But obviously, our work has to continue at a more aggressive pace simply because the criminal element is starting to utilize their own intelligence, and that is something that we have been guarding against and monitoring quite actively.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the Eagle Eyes initiative. How well has it worked?
Well, the Tunapuna Station Council, which is a council that constitutes members of the civilian community, businesses, as well as senior police members of the police service, is working quite well. As a matter of fact, up to recent statistics that I received just yesterday, over 250 cameras have been installed in the area. And this includes businesses, some residential areas. It initially started off as a business community initiative, but obviously because of the state of crime and because of some of the challenges we've been having, residents have now bought into it. And what you're finding throughout our neck of the woods is that a lot of neighborhood watch groups have been starting to take effect. One, and the president of the Tunapuna Station Council, Mr. Neil Budu Singh, has been walking throughout the country, as a matter of fact. So that initial statement, it's Tunapuna, yes, but the rest of the country is reaching out to us. So Mr. Budu Singh has been to numerous areas, over to Central, to East, other parts of the East, and really spreading the gospel about the Eagle Eye and the initiative, which has borne some fruit. You would also see in the media, the former principal of the University of the West Indies, Mr. Professor Clem Sankat, was unfortunately involved in a snatch and grab in the Tunapuna market on Saturday. But the Eagle Eye system was used to identify the perpetrators, look at their path of escape, and hopefully before long the station is able to carry out an arrest. So the point we're making is that the Eagle Eye is there for everyone to see and not see in some instances. It's being manned by a professional command center, and the Tunapuna Station Council, in partnership with the Tunapuna Chamber, continues to drive the initiative across Trinidad and Tobago.
I think that over the past few days, Mr. Gregorio, when we heard about the installation of illegal cameras in Tunapuna, it came as a surprise to many, as a shock to many. How could this be done? I mean, speaking about T&TEC polls, and it leads to a number of questions. Is it that the criminal element in the area, do they have the equipment to get onto these polls, to put up these cameras and so on? But what has been the feeling among your membership about these 23 illegal cameras that have been found?
Well, I think the initial response, of course, was concern, but we have been assured, and Senior Superintendent Smith, who is responsible for our area, has acted pretty quickly, pretty swiftly in dismantling that apparatus. And of course, investigations continue into the space. And that has been happening to us at the Tunapuna area. Obviously, we have a very responsive Senior Superintendent, one, and two, because of the active and the vibrancy of the Station Council. I think a lot of matters that typically would take a while to ventilate in a particular space, in a particular area. We have that luxury in Tunapuna of having that buffer between the police and the business community to act on things a bit quickly because of the existence of the Station Council, one, and because of the existence of a vibrant communication between community and police. So what is happening is that it was an immediate response, and the police were able to sort of look into it very quickly. Which is something that any citizen of Trinidad and Tobago would be proud of.
And what is the feeling among your membership? Because at the beginning we did speak about multiple murders that have happened in Tunapuna or over the past, let's say, year. You spoke about an attack on Saturday. We spoke about the kidnapping. What's the feeling among your membership about past incidents and incidents still happening?
Of course, it's concern. Concern is the word of the day. That's the one word that when I look at different business group chats that I'm involved in, or even having conversations with members on the telephone, or even seeing them in the streets or interacting with them, I think concern is the biggest word. And with all good reason, obviously, the types of crime that we are seeing in our area and in other parts of the country are starting to get a little too close to home, and in some instances has gotten close to home already. We see a spike in home invasions. So while it may not be in our particular geography, home invasions hasn't been the area. We have other types of crime. So where you go from jurisdiction to jurisdiction throughout the country, you're starting to see different patterns of crime. So obviously it's concern. Businesses have now had to hire more security. Businesses have now had to make different arrangements in terms of how they conduct business. Some persons have talked about, of course, migrating because of the cost of doing business. We have the topic of extortion being something that is starting to be bandied around. And some of our members, while not actively reporting, it's highly underreported. Of course, we have that type of activity in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's a very uncertain time for businesses. It's a very uncertain time for our membership. But having said that, I think the part that our members play, our community plays, and our businesses play, we must work hand in hand with security. And I mean, I keep going back to the Eagle Eye. It's a really fantastic initiative that really allows all parties to come together, and it's a model that we believe that could be used across the country to manage this particular phenomenon.
Have you seen a particular trend in Tunapuna? Crimes, the attacks on the residents of Tunapuna and even businesses? Is there a particular trend that you're seeing?
Well, obviously, the kinds of opportunity, the snatch and grab, of course, we encourage persons, just like yourselves, myself, walking around the community, don't dress in a particular way that attracts attention. And I mean, it's very difficult for me to make that statement in 2024. But the reality of it is, of course, you don't want to become a target and stand out. And one of the things is that, of course, the home invasions are something that continue to persist, of course, throughout the length and breadth. Of course, Tunapuna area in my jurisdiction spans from the Silver Mill Bridge in Sawa to part of Arupa heading south to the Caroni area and Piapa area. So it's quite a wide expanse.
Yes.
So it even covers parts of central Trinidad in a geographic sense. And what I would say is that obviously it's a wide range of crimes, and it's something that we continue to grapple with as a country, we continue to grapple with as a community. And what I would say is that The snatch and grabs, of course, are the ones where the home invasions are becoming we're hearing more about the home invasions. And of course, we're hearing more about in this particular instance, the kidnapping, which we hope doesn't grow any legs in our communities.
But you are involved in business. Your members are involved in business. In light of what is happening, the crime situation, how do you still try to attract people to Tunapuna and get them to come and do business in Tunapuna and invest in Tunapuna?
Well, Tunapuna is not a stagnant place. Tunapuna is home to quite a few places in the country. I think one of the few places in the country where it's almost like a reflection of society, and I'll explain what I mean. We have the University of the West Indies in our neck of the woods. We have major hospitals, health institutions in our neck of the woods. We have a lot of the main thoroughfares passing through Tunapuna. Of course, we have a lot of central recreational areas and quite a few areas and developing areas. In Trin City, we have East Gates and we have the mall. So it's a very vibrant part of the country. And yes, while crime is a particular factor, what I would also say is that have we been non-responsive or turned a blind ear to it, I would say, nah, this is not a place to come. But Tunapuna is very well protected by the security forces. It may not always seem like that based on some of the incidents, but what we have is a very strong and aggressive response because of the Station Council, one, because of the efforts of communities like us, the Tunapuna Chamber. So it's a real united force looking at this scourge of crime, and which is just a small group of citizens who really causing these challenges with us. And we have to put it in the context also. So it's really about how do we get that group under control, and by virtue of that, spreading that gospel across the country in terms of what we do in Tunapuna that works well, so that other parts of the country don't become unattractive to business persons wanting to do business. So it may sound a bit hypothetical, it may sound a bit abstract, but Tunapuna is open for business. We have to keep it like that and maintain control and order. And that is where I think the strong partnership between entities is extremely necessary. So today it's Tunapuna, tomorrow it could be Labre, next week it could be, are we seeing sprinklings of it happening in Tobago now? So we also have to spread that gospel of community and spread that message of being able to work together hand in hand to deal with these issues. It's not one entity against the rest. It's all of us working together.
But you feel that the situation has improved. You're not seeing as much, let's say, murders in the past few weeks and other types of criminal activities. You feel that there's an improvement because of the work that you are doing, other businesses in the community, the police, and other stakeholders.
Yeah, most certainly. And yet I would always say having vibrant watch groups, be it residential watch groups, business watch groups, yet again, the community being involved and the community looking after its own interests, I think is definitely a step in the right direction because we have one of the more active station councils in the country. As a matter of fact, other communities have been reaching out to us. So the president of the station council has been actually going around to different communities and having neighborhood watch groups. This is in concert with the Darren Carmichael, who is the Citizens Crime Stoppers, I believe, or the Crime Initiative. We have the Citizens Alliance Network, who are the ones responsible for the cameras. And even with those cameras, we continue to improve the technology and the detection and the type of hardware we use, So even with just having the installation of the cameras, we have attached strobe lights and a siren to the cameras now. And it's really fixated in particular spaces where 3 or 4 businesses benefit from that one camera installation. So when you multiply that, a community could benefit from the technology that we're using and the inroads and the type of equipment that we're using. It's really about creating a greater presence and combining that with a greater police presence and monitoring. And we have a lot of police patrols in our area now. I think it's on the way to becoming a safer space.
Yeah. Are there still trouble spots? Because we know about situations in the north of Tunapuna to the south and where you have young people who are involved in gangs. Are there still hotspots, you think? And when I say hotspots, I was speaking to a police officer the other day, and they were saying, well, it would seem that, and it was a few weeks ago, when we saw a spike in activity in Tunapuna, and they were saying, well, it would seem that Tunapuna was becoming a hot spot. So are there still trouble spots, if I can put it that way, in Tunapuna, that you think that the police, the authorities need to specifically look at?
Well, I mean, there's always been that challenge with hotspots, as we call them. But what I see is a group of underutilized, highly influenced youth who I believe if we could put certain programs into play, if we are able to engage them in a different way, speak their language, go into the communities, and that's part of the community involvement, going into the communities and really speaking to them or engaging them in a different way. Because, for example, we have a few persons who work around us in the chamber who have come from those communities and are fantastic entrepreneurs. But they were given a chance, they were given an opportunity to demonstrate their skills. So while they may be of the community, they are not the community. And we can use persons like that as influencers to go into their spaces and have those types of very difficult conversations, because what we're asking them is to change their lifestyle, is to come out of a particular social standing or demographic grouping that essentially has been castigated by the rest of society. But we have to really engage them in a way that is different from the norm. And I think that's a challenge for authorities, and that's a challenge for any government of the day. How do we engage these at-risk youth to be able to become more functional and productive members of society? And it's an age-old argument, but I often believe, as I said in an earlier instance, it's a small proportion of young persons carrying out these crimes. We saw the age group being somewhere between 15 to 25, 15 to 40 in some reports. So a report was conducted just recently. So what I would say is that what are the strategies we're using to future-proof these youths to make sure they have some type of chance of surviving in Trinidad and Tobago? Of course, that comes along crime detection, it comes along dismantling some of the gangs, but we have to engage them in a more positive way to be able to effect the change that we want for our country. And that is where I see the biggest challenge lies. How do we engage these groups of young people to become more productive members of society?
How do people get involved, or is there an opportunity for people to become involved in the station council that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, sure. I could provide some of this information offline, and probably
yes.
I would appreciate it if your station could advertise it. But the Tunapuna Station Council is chaired by President Neil Bulu Singh. There's a direct contact number for him. I could provide that for you and
yes.
for your members to be able to get in contact. It's a very vibrant group, as I mentioned, who go around the country, do presentations. They also help establish neighborhood watch groups. They also have communications with other community councils and help set it up, help it to be a more vibrant group. As I mentioned, it's civil society, it's community, it's business, and it's police. So it's really a combination of a number of hats in one space. And to me, that's the type of multi-pronged approach